They are the great railway stations of the world. The biggest, the busiest, the liveliest.
Standing still is not a good option. You're gonna get knocked down.
There is a big fight.
For some, it's the gateway to the journey of a lifetime. For others, a one-way ticket to the daily frustrations of rail travel.
To follow the damn schedule. I'm tired of missing my connection.
This stop, it's Melbourne's Flinders Street, the busiest station in the Southern Hemisphere.
There's thousands of people. It's peak time, so there's literally thousands of people.
Where staff battle through an Aussie summer.
Please be aware that due to a person being struck by a train, it's basically a great bit of mayhem.
To keep the network up and running.
Now I'm going to be stuck on a bloody bus.
And passengers on the move.
I just want to get home tonight. When do we want it? Now.
Just when you think things are going smoothly, anything can happen.
Melbourne, Australia's second largest and most populated city. Famous for being the most livable city in the world, it's an urban paradise of cultures, cafes, bars, music and world-class sporting events. At its centre and fixed in the hearts of every Melburnian, Flinders Street Station, the city's social and transport hub.
This is what we call the dome area of Flinders Street, and everyone that comes to Melbourne basically meets underneath the clocks. They were over in the pub, they looked at the clocks, and that's when they knew what time that they had to catch their train.
Good morning and welcome to Flinders Street Station. This is your Eltham train running by the City Loop.
Over 100,000 people and 1,500 trains pass through the station every day, making it the busiest station in Australia.
505 Alamein coming into 2.
Overseeing the service today is station controller Greg Lister.
Busy, probably the best way to describe it. No 2 days are the same here. There's always something going on.
Down on the platform, staff known as Rovers help keep everyone moving. And that might be more challenging than usual. It's 9 a.m. on Monday morning and it's already hot.
See that? It's 27.8 in Melbourne at the moment. It feels like 29.6, so yeah.
I feel like they're all really tired when it's hot. I feel like everyone's tired. I almost feel like people have sympathy for us when they see us working out in the heat.
And there's no driver confirmed, so we can put the signal back, run off 2.
We can put the signal back, can we?
That's definite. Definite, yep. Put that one down the local and we'll go off the through on 2.
At route control,
well, he's coming up 13 late.
They're getting through a busy morning rush hour.
This is the hub, without a doubt. We're the ones that make all the operational decisions. If we need to recover a timetable, we'll make those decisions up here.
Network controller David Matthews has an instant overview of the state of play across Melbourne's 15 lines and 600 miles of track.
That's the full network. It's our WOW board. Blue's good, red's your late running train. Never know when it's going to happen. It's the same as anything on the network really. I mean, we react. So if everything's on time, we'll sit back and just monitor. But our job is to react to situations and we've got to come up with a plan pretty quickly.
Calling a 59 Riversdale on 3, please.
And they're going to have to react sooner than they expected.
Hey, Jeff, urgent. Jeff, urgent. Stop all trains, Kensington.
I'm going to go, mate.
Yeah, guys, can you hold it? Newmarket, we haven't just going on that Kensington.
Hey, Ed, David, Metro, how you going? Hey, got trains stopped at Kensington. What's the TD that's affected?
8312.
8312.
Police have called network control with information that a man known to be at risk of suicide has been spotted at a local station.
Got someone threatening self-harm.
Someone matching his description is now being tracked by staff on CCTV.
Yeah, well, we're watching this guy at the moment, so he's probably threatened self-harm, I suppose. So
We think we've not gone far.
All trains in the area have been stopped and police are on their way.
Oh, the police are there.
yeah, now.
It's a delicate situation which has to be handled carefully.
Transit 241.
Yeah, Transit 241, absolutely.
Thank you.
Transit.
Righto.
But it's good news.
All clear, Jeff? Yep, all clear. Dave, all clear?
All clear?
All clear.
It's a case of mistaken identity.
Looked like him, but it wasn't him, so just to be on the safe side of things, we've got to stop trains as per police request. So just letting everyone know. Yeah, Michael, Dave at Metro, all clear, so that 8316 will move.
Out on the rest of the network, it's running smoothly. But down under, there are challenges found nowhere else.
We do get kangaroos on the track, but they're lightning fast. They usually are good to get out of the way. And I was just driving along and he hopped on, hopped over and hopped off, minding his own business. Oh, there he goes.
At Flinders Street Control, they're now setting up for the Monday afternoon rush hour.
At this stage, touch wood, running fine, but this is the desk where you don't want anything to really go wrong. Because once it goes wrong, then everything collapses.
And Controller Greg Lister is not taking anything for granted.
Just when you think things are going smoothly, anything can happen.
Hey Frank, how you doing? What do we want? You're suspended down there. We got reports of a disabled train at Carnegie. It was due to a pantograph down.
The pantograph on a commuter train has disconnected from the overhead cables. The busiest line on the network is now blocked at the worst possible time.
We're dealing with crush-loaded trains coming out of the city, in the city loop during this time. So from a passenger point of view, we're getting 800, 1,000 people potentially could be getting off services.
News of the disruption is filtering through to rush hour passengers at Flinders Street.
How long the train will take?
How long, that I can't tell you.
It is absolute disgrace.
And it's on the same line where passengers have had to put up with several weeks of a bus replacement service.
You're okay, sir?
Is that affecting the line? Oh, some metro train has got its pantograph caught in the bloody overhead wires, so my train can't get through. Now I'm going to be stuck on a bloody bus, which we've been on buses since the 1st of December. So you can tell I'm a little annoyed.
This week was going to be the first week back when they could have a train all the way from home to Flinders Street. And what are we Monday night? Peak hour, and we're back to the buses, so...
Can't do anything. We've just got to suck it up.
It's a hot Monday afternoon rush hour at the height of an Aussie summer. And at Melbourne's Flinders Street, Australia's busiest station, 50,000 commuters are trying to get home.
Buses have been organised,
Yep.
but they're not there yet.
Yep.
A train has lost power and is blocking the track on the busiest line on the network.
If you imagine that there's a train broken down in front of you, your options are very limited on what you can do to avoid that. If that train can't go anywhere, it's completely disabled. We don't have a lot of options, and that's going to cause significant delays. We just need to follow the guidance of our control tower Metro and make our best judgments and safe decisions that we can to what we've been trained to do.
Have they organised the buses yet?
Looks like buses are being organised, but it could take a while for them to get there, I'm assuming, so...
No. All staff, please be aware that we're currently expecting significant delays.
Because at the moment it's long delays, so catch a tram if you like.
The disruption has happened at the worst possible time, at the start of Monday evening peak, on the very day when trains were supposed to be running again after weeks of work on the track.
Very, very welcome, like a hole in the head.
Rush hour wise, what time now? 4:15. It's just starting to build now, but it's starting to get busy, as you can see now. They just want to get home. They just want their train. They just want to get home tonight, and they don't particularly care as long as Metro run a train. When do we want it? Now.
But back at route control, the news is getting worse by the minute.
Looks like we've got another issue. We've got the disabled train at Carnegie, but then we've just got this image from infrastructure.
It's not only the train's pantograph that's faulty. The incident has also damaged overhead cables.
So I reckon we're going to lose the local lines and the Caulfield group. Looks like the overhead's been permanently damaged. So I reckon we're going to have bigger delays, and we've got to advise passengers as to what's going on.
Due to a fault on the line, there is no Pakenham or Cranbourne services running this evening. No train is leaving from this platform at all. They've suspended the Cranbourne-Pakenham line because it's the most trains are stuck on that line.
At Flinders Street Control, staff are doing their best to get people home on replacement buses.
V-line services have been replaced by Rowe coaches departing from Southern Cross Station. Busy, probably the best way to describe it, but the time certainly goes quickly. When it's like that over there, it certainly does go very quick. You just roll with the punches when it happens and do the best you can.
Yeah, and then bus 203.
So I just stay at place.
Instead of an hour-long train trip, it's a 2 to 3 hour bus trip for them, and that's in the middle of peak hour traffic. So you can imagine what they feel, how they feel.
Can't tell you. Your guess is good in mine. I hope it's in the next 5 minutes. As you can see, a lot of angry passengers. But I can understand that the heat doesn't help. But yeah, I feel for them. But it's not much I can do.
6, 7.
Yeah, 6 and 7.
Very convenient.
Yes.
Oh, nothing is going at the moment. One thing is compounded into 2 or 3 problems at the moment. So just working through it.
At route control, they're working on getting the line back.
Dealing with the high voltage power is always difficult, and now we need experts on site to tell us exactly what we can and can't do and how to rectify the situation.
Fixing it could take hours.
I reckon it's going to take all night to rectify it, and hopefully we get it back for the morning.
While it's congested inside the station, the police are keeping things moving outside.
Our role is not only the railway station, but surrounding of the railway station as well. So if something happens, we can respond quick and fast. And also it gives the confidence, the reassurance, the surrounding of the public transport hub is secured, and we're there to make sure that people do feel safe in that element.
Back inside, it's now 4 hours after the incident, and some trains are able to get through.
From our end, it's still ongoing, but we're able to get people out. We're able to get people home. We're able to get them to as close to home as possible.
Platform 9. Platform 9 for Caulfield. Go quick.
Trains will resume.
Platform 9.
9?
Yeah.
Thank you for your patience. Thank you for traveling with Metro.
Yeah, it is a job well done. It's a lot of pressure up here when that does occur. It does get stressful, but at the end of the day, you know it's going to sort itself out, and you just move on.
It's a new day at Flinders Street.
Good morning, customers. Train on platform 4 is your 8:17 Alamein train. This train runs direct to Richmond, stopping all stations to Alamein.
And things are looking up.
They fixed the problem. They were working all through the night, and I think they finished roughly about 4:15, 4:30, so just before services began. So they were really up against the clock.
But there are still a few knock-on effects.
Pakenham and Cranbourne, they're still trying to catch up from yesterday, because essentially all those trains are out of position. So essentially it's a busy morning from about 4:30 for the train control, because they're all trying to catch up and try and get the trains back in position and trying to get the drivers back in position.
It's been a difficult 24 hours for the man who heads up Melbourne's transport network and its iconic but century-old train hub.
A station that was designed for a much smaller city. Melbourne is a city that started off with a network designed for about 1.5 million people, but now has over 5 million people living in it. And one of our challenges at the moment is how do you upgrade it to cater not only with the people we have using it today, but the significant growth we anticipate over the coming years.
The station is undergoing a multi-million-pound upgrade, a project managed by Graham Kay.
Okay, we're heading up onto the roof space here now with some of the best views of Melbourne.
In the early 1900s, Flinders Street was the busiest station in the world. And Graham has been tasked with restoring it to its former glory.
Well, this is one of the most iconic buildings in Melbourne. People talk of Melbourne around the world. People don't know a lot about the city. They see a photo of Flinders Street, they know where they are.
Flinders Street even has its own version of London's Big Ben, a tower housing a 100-year-old clock mechanism.
So we're now standing around the original mechanism that has been running this clock. This is what was here 110 years ago. When you go up to the next level, you'll see that connects to the four faces through just a simple arm, which feeds out to each of the clock faces, and each of the clocks are they're exactly in sync, so they're telling the same time. Remarkable. It's a pretty awe-inspiring space. There's not too many people in this city that'll get to see this, so we and you are pretty lucky.
Down on the platforms, it's not only the time that they're keeping an eye on.
Right now, it's probably around 30 Celsius at the moment. Yep. Gets a lot hotter in Australia. It was 43 a couple of Fridays ago. You know, keep your fingers crossed the trains run well on those hot days, but there are some heat-related issues on hot days for sure.
It does get really hot up on the concourse, especially at Tabaret, our other entrance. It's a tin roof, so it does get quite hot. Well, we do have heaps of water runs, and our staff here are really friendly. Sometimes we get ice creams, so it's pretty good, yeah.
And travelling in the heat can be disorientating.
She's got all my belongings. I don't know where she is.
So your mother's got all your belongings?
Yeah, she's got all my belongings and my other son in a stroller.
Right.
I got on the train first to then help her on.
So you've been separated?
So we've been separated. I haven't got a clue where she is. She's visiting from the UK, so she doesn't know what she's doing.
What's her name?
Mary.
Mary?
Yeah.
Mary from England?
That's it, yeah.
Okay. On platform 7, and do they speak any English?
Yeah, she speaks English. She comes from England. Her name is Mary.
She's got my mobile.
She has got her daughter's mobile. What we might do is ring that number before I send her up. We might be able to get things happening.
While Malcolm deals with the missing grandmother on the platforms, upstairs in the control room,
Now, in control, could you please get the police down to the information centre now?
Assistant Station Master Trent O'Neill has to sort out another stressful incident.
Control room to all staff, please note if you see any police or PSOs around the station, can you please send them to the Customer Information Centre on the concourse. So just had a call requesting police. There's not really a domestic, a fight between two people unknown to each other.
A woman has accused a man of taking photos of her at the station entrance. Police are questioning both people.
You're the person that's been separated from your mother?
Yes, that's right, yeah.
Yeah?
The search for Mary, the missing English grandmother, has now moved to the control room. And there's good news. They've tracked her down.
All right, look, I'll put your daughter on for you.
Hello. Are you all right?
And the million-pound question...
Okay, where are you?
All right, she'll be on a sailing
Same
and
last
train,
name?
so that'll run direct to Richmond. No worries.
Want a bottle of water in it? You're okay?
It turns out Grandma is only one stop away. That's one problem solved. But the incident with a man taking photos has just got odder.
The police, they checked his phone and they found that he had images of other passengers of the train who he thought was staring at him. Police suggested that a little bit of paranoia there, that there's nothing really they could do, just have a chat to him, and he's gone on his way, and the police have gone on their way.
Fortunately, the one person who kept her cool was Customer Information Advisor Amanda Aylward.
Yeah, so the hot weather often changes people's perspectives, make them a little bit more paranoid, a little bit crazy, that sort of thing. So, just typical Flinders Street customer, I think.
Another busy morning is over, and once again staff have to prepare for the busiest time on the network, the evening rush hour. "25 miles from Flinders Street at the Epping Rail Depot, staff are prepping the train fleet.
We're doing a after morning peak clean. We'll get all these trains cleaned and inspected before it goes out for the evening peak. And that happens every day, 7 days a week, public holidays, everything.
Mick's grown up on the railway.
I've actually been in the role longer than I've known my wife. Yeah, I started 17 years old, I was. Always doing the cleaning. I started off as a cleaner and just worked my way up. I'll look for any damage, any vandalism, so it can be reported and cleaned in a time span. And also I'll check the cleaning to make sure the hair greasy marks are removed, no fresh chewies on the ground, litter, any Coke, coffee spills are mopped up.
He's got a forensic eye.
That's an egg stain. Yeah, someone thrown an egg on the side of the train that just dripped down.
How can you tell that's an egg stain?
Years of experience.
And he'll need all those years of experience to deal with what is about to happen out on the network. It's almost 5 o'clock at Flinders Street. The evening peak is underway. And 50,000 people are descending on the station to make their way home.
Train on platform 4 is a Riversdale train. This train runs direct to Richmond, stopping all stations to Riversdale. Platform 5.
The Rovers, like commuters, are out in force.
To North Melbourne, all stations to Sunbury except South Kensington.
And after recent self-harm scares, staff are extra vigilant.
Unfortunately, self-harm is an issue on the network. And I think a couple of weeks ago here on platform 4, there was unfortunately a young lady that was a bit distressed. And luckily, the customers who saw her standing over the yellow line grabbed her arms and pulled her back before the train arrived. And it's things like that that we have to look out for. Train now arriving platform 5 is the 8:23 Sunbury train.
But there are just some incidents you can't spot. With the peak of the rush hour approaching, upstairs in the control room, major news is coming in of a tragic event.
Steve, someone struck at angle 1. The Health and Business Services terminating at Clifton Hill.
Control to all staff and CIC, please be aware that due to a person being struck by a train on the Hurstbridge line, all Hurstbridge services will be terminating at Clifton Hill until further notice.
The fatality has happened on a busy commuter line. Details of the incident are still unclear, but with the evening rush hour fast approaching, one thing is certain: there will be major disruption right across the network. It's 5 p.m, right in the middle of rush hour at Australia's busiest station. And staff are dealing with a tragic incident out on the track.
You don't know whether it was a suicide or just somebody being silly and running across the tracks, but it's basically going to create a bit of mayhem.
For the second time in 2 days, rail commuters are facing the prospect of getting back on the buses.
So we've got bus replacements between Clifton Hill and Heidelberg Station.
What we're really doing now is we try and organise busing, replacement bus services to come in, ferry all the passengers, given the time of day. Very challenging situation. It'll take quite a while for buses to actually get in and arrive.
8 miles from Flinders Street, police are at the scene of the fatality. A 5-mile stretch of busy commuter track has been closed.
It's the police investigation. They'll close it down till they finish, which will be about 3.5 hours. Yeah. Well, that takes them that time. They've got to talk to the driver involved. He must be pretty shattered that he's actually, yeah. So it takes time to go through all the procedure, yeah.
.4026, what is your current location, over?
At route control, they're having a logistical battle to keep rush hour passengers moving, and the situation is all too familiar.
We've had quite a few fatalities in the last week or two. Yeah, I don't know what it's all about, but it's, yeah, you have fits and starts with them.
Trespassers, self-harmers, there's quite a few. Probably, on average, trespassers, probably 2 or 3 incidents per day, sometimes more. But yeah, we have plenty of them, unfortunately.
Commuters are now arriving at Clifton Hill, where trains are being terminated.
Thousands of people. It's peak time, so there's literally thousands of people who are just trying to get home.
And Mick Rigby and other Rovers from Flinders Street have been sent out to help organise the bus replacement service that will leapfrog the blockage.
Heidelberg, get this bus that'll take you direct to Heidelberg out there.
Anyone for Heidelberg Express to Heidelberg, folks, that's right.
The rail journey normally takes 15 minutes, but passengers are now at the mercy of slow-moving bus queues.
Most of them are going express to Heidelberg. There's a few that are stopping all stations as well.
Due to a person being hit by a train, buses replace trains between Clifton Hill and Heidelberg.
It's nearly 7 p.m. and out on the tracks, the police investigation is winding down. The buses are getting people home, and Mick can now get on his way too.
It seems to be resolving itself quite nicely. I'll jump on the next service back to Flinders and go and sign off there, and then jump on my motorcycle and go home.
It's looking quite good. Our platforms are sort of like fairly empty, which means we're getting passengers on the train and we're getting them up to Clifton Hill. That's Parliament over there, and that's Melbourne Central. So it looks like they don't have any traffic problems either. So that means it's been a successful afternoon. We've managed to get all the passengers to Clifton Hill, and hopefully from there we'll be able to get them moving along fairly soon.
It's been a difficult 48 hours for everyone on the network. But the pace of life on the railway is relentless. And a new challenge is never far down the line.
Go ahead, 104.
Right. This train stopped quickly coming into the platform, and the driver said the emergency stop tripped on something on the track. She does not know what it was.
In the control room, Assistant Station Master Trent O'Neill is receiving information from the Rovers on Platform 5. They've spotted something on the tracks.
Hey, Georgie.
Yeah?
The 237 Water Gardens and the 241 Upfield.
Hang on. Probably need to bring the floor down and snuff it out.
What is it? Is it metal or what is it?
Just bring the bloody floor down.
And the nifty claw can be used to retrieve all kinds of objects left on the tracks.
Mobile phones, pram wheels,
driver's keys.
Driver's keys, yeah. Yep. Hey, Tony, I'll grab.
The object is heavy, so this is a two-claw job.
It's like a rider, skate type thing, skater. Yeah, when we take lost property.
Further down the line, they're also focusing on the tracks. An army of workers are upgrading the rails, replacing the wooden sleepers which hold the tracks in place with long-lasting concrete ones.
So these timber sleepers are life expired, so by installing concrete sleepers on a face provides more longevity to the track structure. So each process involves a machine coming in, taking out the timber sleeper, removing the ballast, the concrete's inserted, and then two labourers fasten up that concrete sleeper, which takes generally about a minute a sleeper.
There's maintenance work also going on at the Epping train depot, but today's shift is sadly far from routine. Mick, Rowe and his team have to clean the train that was involved in the previous day's fatality.
I get told, yes, it was a male, female, children or whatever. I don't pass it on to my guys because it is trauma and they don't need that in their mind. They just go ahead and do their job.
I got underneath and done the extra cleaning myself. I just asked for the end of the number, what end the train happened on, and that's all I want. That's all I need to know. I don't need to know if it's a woman, female, the age. I don't need to know any of that.
Out on the tracks, the engineers are making good progress, upgrading the rails.
There'll be commuters, there'll be passengers on our trains who won't even realise this has happened.
At Flinders Street, staff have nearly got through another busy week. But there's one last challenge. It's Friday, and it's going to be an eventful night.
It is a busy time. You've got the tennis happening today. We've got cricket as well at Melbourne's Central Cricket Ground. We got some concert happening as well.
On patrol with his team tonight is Officer Mohammed Alam.
There's a lot of public who will be taking the public transport tonight. So we'll be very busy in terms of foot traffic. And if anything comes along, we're just going to make sure that we deal accordingly and people feel safe to use their public transport.
Watching over the network at route control is Shane Toille. And for the moment, the sports fans are the least of his worries.
It's extremely busy and compared to the situation on account of very shorter drivers tonight. Driver issues and signalling problems on the single line section between Dandenong and Cranbourne, they're certainly our biggest problems at the moment.
And it's about to get worse.
See how long they anticipate before the police are on site.
Brilliant.
All right, thanks, mate.
There are reports of a trespasser on track 15 miles from Flinders Street at Middle Gorge Station.
There you go, mate. Any clue on knowing what time we might get them out there at Middle Gorge?
They're going out now.
Actually, yeah, we've got a situation there with a male. He looks a little bit disturbed or such out at Middle Gorge. He's in imminent danger of the train line, so we're obligated to stop our services there. It will have an adverse effect on the tail end of the PM peak, yeah, for sure, and could impact on our cricket traffic later. So, vital sort of situation, but we're doing our best to sort it out, yeah.
It's a busy but so far peaceful Friday evening at Flinders Street. Doing his best to keep it that way is Police Officer Mohammed Alam.
And as you can see around you, it's just like people everywhere. So it's a combination of everyone on a Friday night going out and enjoying what Melbourne has to offer in summertime.
But at route control, they've been dealing with a more stressful situation. There have been reports of a trespasser on the tracks at a local station, and police are now at the scene.
Current advice is Middle Gorge issue ongoing. Police on site, trains are stopped. So
Looks pretty consistent.
After a police search, there's no sign of anyone on the tracks.
Can we put a train through with caution? We should have line clear in fully if no one sees him. I'd say by 1800 we should be fully back with no need to warn the drivers any further.
It's come just at the right time as the network heads towards a busy Friday night.
The number's not too bad at the moment, currently tracking at 97.27. However, we're only sort of just into the peak. Hopefully we can still maintain target and we'll see how we go, yeah.
But at Flinders Street, it's all go. The station is a hub for people heading for a night out in the city. But it's also having to deal with thousands of excitable cricket fans. India has beaten Australia, a result that has left at least one man bowled over.
Well, I'm sure you're celebrating because you won the cricket. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, you want to go home and sleep? Is your friend going to take you home? How much did you have to drink? Jesus. That's all right. I would have done the same thing. You know, Polly. Oh my God. We're just going to make sure that he's in a good, stable condition where he can jump into the train, go with his friend back home safely, and that's all we did. But if it was different context, we'd have to arrest him for drunk in a public place.
This train is now ready to depart. Stand clear on platform 6. Pakenham train is now ready to depart.
Up in the control room, William Mackenzie is dealing with another Friday night incident.
The 1853 down Pakenham, carriage number 2535T, got a report of someone in a pool of vomit, passed out on the train.
And it throws up some memories.
Me personally, I haven't had to deal with many gruesome situations. There have been occasional ones where people have done, they've either weed on the train or even done a poo on the train.
You've never had to walk into a train, and just randomly found blood on the train gone?
No, I've never found blood.
Really?
Never found blood on the train. I've heard of blood on the train, but I've never had to attend to them.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
You've been lucky.
Yes, been very lucky. Some good vomit scenarios. Weeing and pooing, but they're a bit, yeah, nothing too gruesome. I hope I never have anything really gruesome either.
It's a nasty job, but there's a well-rehearsed routine.
Well, we're going to clean up the vomit, and it doesn't bother me anymore because I've been doing like 4 years. In the start, it used to bother me and it will make me feel very bad, but now I got used to it.
See what his condition is.
Further down the platform, William Mackenzie is now having to deal with another Friday night casualty.
Take your time, okay? We're here to help you. Don't worry. Have you had much to drink today? Drink? Alcohol? Yeah? All right. Yeah, he's absolutely just a bit lost. And he needs an amber. See if we can find him.
William leaves it to Officer Allen to do the heavy lifting. They manage to get the man up to the concourse, but just as they have one situation under control, there's another issue in the female toilets.
Yeah, just come up on the radio, but just go and see what's there.
A woman has been trapped in a cubicle for over an hour. When police emerge, it turns out it was a different sort of blockage.
False alarm, definitely. Yeah, she was very frustrated.
The woman hasn't yet emerged from the toilets, and they still haven't got the drunk man off their hands. It could be a long night.
I can't tell you how long it will take tonight, but hopefully the next half an hour the ambulance will be here.
Out on platform 3, the vomit train is now pulling in. And the crack cleaning squad goes into action. There's action too upstairs.
Annalisa, how are you? Hello, sir. My name's Nadia. I'm with the ambulance, all right? Have you been drinking tonight? Yeah. Only alcohol?
Severely drunk, had a lot to drink. Yeah, he was absolutely drunk.
But in the ladies' loo, there's still no movement, and another hour has gone by.
Still there, so we're gonna take one of the medics inside and see if that female requires any further medical attention. It's a concerning that she's been there for such a long period of time.
Fell asleep. I know, he's fell asleep.
She fell asleep.
On the toilet?
Yep. So she's coming out. She's okay. Done. Almost an hour and a half, yeah. Probably have a nap or something. It doesn't look like she's intoxicated or not. I don't know why she would fall asleep, but from our point of view, she's absolutely okay, so which is a good news for us. Whew, all right. Have a good night.
The Friday frenzy has brought a difficult week to a successful conclusion. And this century-old iconic station has once again risen to the challenge of keeping this vibrant and expanding city moving.
We have done our job, and let's see what's next.
Next stop, Zurich Hauptbahnhof, one of the busiest stations in the world.
That's like Calcutta now, huh?
And one of the most punctual.
Of course, we are in Switzerland.
Where staff face a daily battle.
We're going to Altstetten. There is a big fight.
With the tracks and the trains.
Most probably is going to be cancelled.
With the passengers.
No.
And with the world's most demanding clock.
When you have a train that is 1 minute or 2 minutes delayed, they don't understand.
Wir müssen einsteigen.
If you or someone you know has been affected by any of the issues raised in this programme, go to channel5.com/busiest stations for information and support. And we're off to Denmark for Jutland Draining the Battlefield, brand new next Monday at 9.